For man, three-pointer, bang! Oh, what a man!
Magic down the middle, just what I thought. A hook shot at 12, good!
Here's Michael at the foul line, a shot on Elo,
Good! The Bulls win it! They win it!
now there's a steal by Bird, underneath the DJ, going up over Bell, ball away, yes! Yes! At the buzzer, he does it! Was there ever a doubt? A Smith screen, Posey will defend.
Physical game. Oh, me, oh, my. A monster jam by Blake Griffin.
What's going on, guys? Welcome to another NBA playoff preview for the 2023 NBA playoffs. This one, the Western Conference Finals. Before we get started, you already know the drill. Follow us on social media, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok at Dime Dropper Pod, and subscribe to the YouTube channel for all things LA basketball and I guess NBA history. And I go live every single night of the playoffs. Joining me, two local content creators. I love bringing on diehard fans for the local teams. Raj representing the Lakers, Swipa representing the Nuggets. Let's hear some introductions. This is the first time you guys are on the show. Like, let people know what you do. I guess how your fandom started. Let's start with Swipa since you're the guest, since this is LA channel.
Yeah, what's going on, everybody? I've been a Denver sports reporter since I was a kid, lifelong. Robert Pack, Nick Van Exel, Antonio McNice days. Then I've been doing a lot of public speaking for a long time. I started the Swipa Cam platform in December 2020. Just wanted to talk sports and culture and life and, just talk about things that are happening in the NBA and the NFL and stuff at large. And, yeah, man, here we go. 2.5 years later, man, we're just moving and growing, bro. So I'm excited. I love getting a chance to do stuff like this. It's one of my favorite things to do. So shout out to y'all.
Appreciate that, man. And, yeah, dude, it's awesome to have somebody from actually from Colorado because – I don't know. I don't see too many of them on the timeline and stuff and content creators, so I really like that. Raj, give us your introduction. A lot of my subscribers already know who you are since I have so many Laker fans that subscribe to me.
Yeah, for sure. Obviously a fan of your page. My name is Raj. I cover the Lakers. Been doing it for like about 2 to 3 years now. Seriously. Just started on Twitter, as I think most of us did, just like live tweeting the game, and a little bit of a following came here and there. And I do the podcast on Blue Wire, the Lakers Lounge. Do live watches on playback as well, and then was working with SB Nation as well on Silver Screen and Roll. But excited, man. Me and Swipa can be friends today, but tomorrow the war starts. So excited to have some fun basketball conversations.
And you're from out here as well, right? Like you grew up.
Yeah. I grew up in LA. I'm out in the IE. You know where that is. I'm sure a lot of East Coast people don't know, but yeah, IE is like about 40 minutes up. But it's absolutely local.
So let's get right into it. Obviously, this is a rematch from the Bubble Conference Finals. And if you want to go further back, I mean, this is the third time I've seen the Lakers and the Nuggets play each other in the conference finals. 2009, obviously, was such an iconic series for a lot of, 2000s, people that watched basketball in the 2000s, and for Nuggets fans especially. Let's start with Swipa, man. Why are you guys going to win this series? I know it's been, the number one seed. This feels like your year. And why is it so much different than 2020 as well?
Yeah, that's a great question. One of the first things is I think that the Nuggets have never been in a position to where they've been able to say they could have the best player in a series versus the Lakers. In 85, it was Kareem and Magic, and Alex English wasn't in that series. That wasn't happening. And then in 2009, as good as Carmelo was at that point in time in his career, he wasn't Kobe Bryant. Then they were loaded. Andrew Bynum, Ron Artest, and Lamar Odom. They were Derek Fisher. They were great. And then 2020, Jokic was like just got first team All-NBA. The year before was second team All-NBA that year. He wasn't like MVP, like one of the best players ever, Jokic yet, right? Honestly didn't even – he had finished the year before fourth on the MVP voting in 2018-19. I think he was seventh in 2019-20. I hadn't even at the time thought that he was going to win an MVP award until like December 28th of 2020 when he had like this – 18 assist triple-double versus the Houston Rockets. So, never at any point in time have the Nuggets had an argument for the best player in the world in a series versus the Lakers, let alone with LeBron James and Anthony Davis in it. So that The roster is the most full it's ever been. It's the best two-way roster they've had. They got the number one offense in the playoff. They have the number 4 defense in the playoffs. They have just been able to execute. They're a very good half-court scoring team, a very good transition team. They're bad defensively when it comes to their transition, but they allowed a fewest amount of turnovers in the playoffs as well. So there's a lot of different things, man. The team's been playing together. The core 3 have been together since 2018. Michael Malone has been there since 2014, 15, basically. So it's just a lot of cohesion. They know each other really well. And this year, because of all the injuries they've had, they knew that this year meant a lot. And they were committed to being the best team they could be. And they have just been able to buy into an identity and to a purpose. Every person in their rotation, y'all, was in training camp with them last year, which is not something you can say for a lot of teams. So I think all of that kind of led them to this point.
Wow, that was a great breakdown. I mean, you make some great points about the continuity, the maturation of your best players, and an improved supporting cast. Raj, what do you think about your chances? This is the first time where you can kind of consider the Lakers an underdog in ways against the Nuggets, but there are a lot of people out there that still believe in the experience, the championship pedigree of LeBron James and Anthony Davis. Why do you think the Lakers are going to get the W in this series, winning their 3rd series as a lower seed in a row? And what makes this Laker team different than the 2020 team?
Yeah, so definitely just comparing it to 2020 and that series, we were talking a little bit earlier, that was a lot tougher than people remember. I mean, people remember it, going out in 5. The Lakers went 5-5-5 until they, went 6 with Miami, but Jokic was held during that time. Bubble Murray, which obviously has got extended to different ways, used against somehow Jamal Murray in ways, but like that Bubble Murray, Jamal Murray, and, in the playoffs, trying to guard him. MPJ versus Kuzma had their little battle there. So like both of these teams are different to me. Obviously, Denver having those 3 still from that playoffs, and then the Lakers really just with LeBron and AD since 2020. And the way this team plays is entirely different. They ran through their guards during that whole playoffs. The Lakers only had one guy score 20 points through their playoff run, and that was Rajon Rondo, other than LeBron and AD. In this series, you've already had Austin Reeves, D'Angelo Russell. Like, we have a bunch of other guards. Dennis Schroeder have gone over 20, and this is a team that's kind of like early in the year, it was kind of discussed, this is going to be a team built around Anthony Davis. And I always said, like, yeah, I'll believe that when I see it. LeBron James is still on the roster, but this is kind of what that looks like. We're very ball screen heavy. We are built around the screening game of AD, and then his defense, to me, is what's made this Laker team. It's why they are where they are. Like, they would not be here without AD's ability to defend. He took out Memphis. Steph Curry and the Warriors had to adjust 3 times their starting lineup just to adjust to him. And this is the biggest test. Obviously, Jokic is the back-to-back MVP. He's been the best player, I believe, in the playoffs so far. And that matchup is going to be crucial, and we'll see how much they actually guard each other. I think the Lakers are going to try to get, Anthony Davis to be able to roam and put him on Aaron Gordon. But to me, it's the defense that's the number one thing for this team. And like, their advantage really to me is that they're still kind of new. Like, not only are they hard to scout, like, they probably don't know themselves. They're going to each series, like, finding new lineups. Rui Hachimura had the first round against Memphis, right? And like, we have all these guys that step up in different ways. Dennis Schroeder started for Jared Vanderbilt in the final game 6 against the Warriors. And this is a team that's starting to find themselves. And LeBron hasn't even really peaked yet. He scored 30, I believe, once in this playoff so far. And we're going to need him, obviously, to score in this series. But I think, like, LeBron's never really lost in the conference finals, and he's 8 wins away from a title. Like, he's probably the best player ever that smells blood in the conference finals. Like, when he's close enough at this stage, I just have a hard time seeing him lose. But this is gonna be a tough series for sure, and I'm excited to get to get it started. But yeah, I think both these teams are pretty evenly matched. Like, it can go either way to me.
Yeah, you have to go back to 2010 for the last time LeBron lost in the conference finals to the Boston Celtics.
Right.
It's been a minute. But, okay, so first question, I guess I apologize that I'm going back to Raj here, but how do you guard the Nuggets pick and rolls with Jokic and Murray? This is the biggest troublesome thing for every single coach. I mean, I haven't found a solution. What do you think, especially with, Anthony Davis blows up so many pick and rolls. We saw him in that high drop a lot against Steph Curry, which you kind of have to honor Jamal Murray as well. But, if the ball gets to Jokic in that short roll, it's one thing to have Draymond making those reads, but a guy like Jokic who can kill you with his scoring as well. And then you have big wings cutting to the basket with Gordon and Michael Porter Jr. So how would you even try to defend it?
Yeah, so like Jokic to me is in that Steph, Luka, like those tier where you're never going to stop them entirely. Like whatever poison you take is still poison, right? You just want to make that, to me, the pick and roll game. And I said this with Steph and, and Draymond, whatever. You want to try to make that a 2-on-2 kind of matchup, right? When you're helping from everywhere, that's when you're in trouble. Steph and Jokic do it in different ways. Obviously, both of them, though, I think are really tough pick and roll guys to defend. And I think the Lakers are going to really try to where like AD is the help guy and just blowing up coverages. And then to be able to, you can't throw them one coverage. Jokic and Murray have played together long enough. Like they have continuity that you just can't buy. Like they've ran so many pick and rolls together that they know every coverage, they've seen every defense. So I think you have to kind of switch it up. You'll see some switching. I think you'll see some times where LeBron is on Murray and like you have AD on Jokic, so you can switch it. Or maybe they have Vanderbilt there as well. You're going to try to hedge. And I think they're going to try to force Jokic to take jump shots, make him pop, and have AD has enough athleticism to like get out there, put a hand up, and and cover him when he drives. And I think that's the way they're going to start. There's no real good answer. Murray and Jokic are, in a phenomenal pairing, but that's at least how I would do it. I would switch it up. Sometimes you have to switch, which, is trouble when it's Jokic down there, but you just hope like if it's LeBron, he can kind of hold his own. Vanderbilt, I think it's a little bit tougher. That's how it started. And if Murray's cooking and Jokic is cooking and they're like KCP is going from 3, that's when you're destroyed. You kind of have to pick some poisons there, and none of them are great options, but that's how I'd play it.
Swipa, what do you think is the most suicidal way the Lakers could play this? Like, what do you want to see them do defensively, I guess, that would get Jokic and Murray to carve them apart? Or get the most out of your team?
Yeah, I've been talking with several people about this lately. I don't think that the Lakers should do anything too fancy to start the series off. I think that they should just play straight up, kind of see how the matchup goes. Because the problem is especially at home with the Nuggets, the way they play, if you give Jokic an opportunity to get everyone else involved, then that creates almost like an avalanche, especially, again, like the thing about the Nuggets, they hit you in waves as the game goes on, whether it's the first quarter, the end of the first quarter like they did in Phoenix, the second quarter, but really those third quarters, if the game is a 3-point game, 7-point game, they just reach such a ceiling when it comes to their offense, and then their defense is all about like pressure, consistency, and connectivity. So if they force turnovers, they're running and they're scoring, or they're getting fouled. If they get in half-court sets, they're getting everything coming downhill, so they're getting downhill actions for a layup or a dunk, or they're getting downhill actions to collapse the defense, to kick out to 2 40+% three-point shooters in KCP and then MPJ, and obviously AG shooting 38%, I think, in the playoffs right now. Murray shooting 40%, Jokic is shooting 47%. Their entire roster is built to be able to be conducive with that kind of sharing the ball style, but it's really built to go work in, out, because they want to make sure they're getting as many twos and layups and dunks as possible, as well as having really efficient mid-range. So I personally just think that the Lakers have to play AD on Jokic. I know the idea that's not like it doesn't make you enthusiastic, but the idea that you put Jared Vanderbilt or LeBron on Joker, like Joker's not a player that like has to get right to the rim to shoot 60+%. He's shooting 61% from the mid-range in the playoffs. So if you give him a 6-foot floater, I mean, you might as well just be giving him a layup, and he's just going to angle it that way. And then if you give him an opportunity to get a cutter or a backdoor, and then also too, if you do a 2-man game with Vando, D'Lo, Vando, Reeves, Vando, whoever, and then you give him an opportunity to get a downhill action or switch, then he's either going to take advantage of the fact that he has a lob open with AG, or he has a floater that he shot 62% from the regular season. So, yeah, I just think that you got to find out, AD, hey, like how good can you guard him in the post? How good can you guard when you're away from the basket? And are you getting killed with that? Then if so, then you make a transition, as the series goes on. So I think they should probably try it that way, but, I could be wrong.
Let me ask you this, Raj. We saw Darvin Ham play Dennis Schroeder a lot more, and did he end up starting him?
So he started just the last game.
Just the last game.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think he's going to go back to Vanderbilt in the starting lineup to start this series?
I do. I think, Ham's going to start with that and then try to adjust backwards from it. But with Swipa's point right there, I think like the Lakers' best defense really is like a slow down paced offense. Like they're going to try to make this an ugly slow down game. You can't let Denver get in transition. I think that's where you also get killed as well. So like they're going to try to hunt Jamal Murray. LeBron's going to try to hunt, KCP or whoever, on those screens and hopefully get good offense there. And you have to get back. You turn the ball over, you're dead, especially in Denver. You saw this with Phoenix as well. Once they turned the ball over, Denver was able to run. And I don't think you're going to stop Jokic from scoring. I don't even think in 2020 we stopped Jokic from scoring. Like, he got to whatever he wanted. There was a play where AD hit that game winner. Obviously, people just forget what happened before that. Jokic was just taking AD right to the post like 3-4 times straight, and he got like layups off of it right before AD hit that game-winning three. But I don't think you're going to stop there. But like, I think the wheel is what you have to stop, where the ball moves and they get MPJ, like you talked about, going. You get KCP going like that. To me, that's the stuff where you got to stop. And it's similar to me with the Warriors. Like when the Warriors won, it was off Steph getting like 14 assists, 10 assists, right? That's when like the Warriors won those games, when he gets everyone else going. And I think it's similar here. Jokic is obviously he's like him. The Denver's a lot better team that can take advantage of that. But like, that's where I would go with it. And the Lakers, in the regular season, not a lot to take from those matchups, but they did send two. They helped off with the shooters that they wanted to take and try to rotate to that. And I think you're going to see some of that as well. But I think Vanderbilt starts. They're going to just try and see. I think they're going to start with AD on Aaron Gordon. That's what I would like predict, and try to like trap and double on Jokic. And if that doesn't work, then they'll switch him over. That's just how I think they'll approach it. But obviously, if Jokic is cooking, then you have to kind of adjust your coverages. I just think like that's how they'll adjust it to start, so they can at least try to keep that Murray and Jokic a 2-on-2 game as much as they can.
You're shaking your head. So you're wondering probably who is going to be guarding Jokic one-on-one then to start the game, right? Vando or LeBron?
No, I heard Jokic is not being guarded by AD and trap. So that means AD by the basket, and then you're either trapping from the top, you're trapping from the wing, or you're trapping from the baseline. So then that's AG in the baseline. That's MPJ at the wing. That's either going to be Jamal or Bruce at the top of the key. That's just like, again, if you don't trap Jokic with size, that's the problem. You trap him with size, like AD and Braun. That's a trap. Like, that's a real trap. But if you trap him with like Vando and Reeves, it's cooked. Like, it's just because he can see over everybody at that point in time.
Well, so who do you start on him, Raj? If not AD?
I think they're going to try to start LeBron. I think AD is going to get a ton of possessions on him for sure. I just think like the Lakers' preferred output would be to have AD on Aaron Gordon, so he can maneuver and create havoc, and then have LeBron try to win these bruising matchups with Jokic rather than LeBron chase around. The Nuggets do a great job, obviously, of moving, of having all these screen actions where Aaron Gordon gets dunks off of them. They screen on the baselines as well. These cross screens, they do a really great job. MPJ and Aaron Gordon, KCP getting loose off that. So like, there's no right answer. The Nuggets are really freaking good. Like, there's no like perfect answer. Then I think AD is going to get a lot of possessions. I just think to start, like, that's their preferred what they would want. They want Aaron Gordon taking jump shots. You listed out 38% from Aaron Gordon. Lakers are going to let it fly. They are not going to care one bit how many he can hit 3 straight, and they're going to still beg him to take those. So I think that's their preferred output. Nuggets make it tough though. I'm just saying, like, I think that's how they will start it. LeBron probably on Jokic, send help where they can. Not a full trap, obviously. You can't fully trap Jokic, but I think that's how they start. And if that doesn't work, they'll move AD over to him. I just think that's they don't want him guarding Jokic for the whole game. I think that's a tough way to put it, to where he can get in foul trouble and stuff like that gets put out.
Well, I think you put Braun in foul trouble if you put on Jokic on isolation. I think is the only point. So that's what I mean. Like, I think if you this is the thing I've thought about with the Lakers series. I think if the Lakers start over complicating their defense, then you start playing into the hands of the Nuggets. Like, if you can just play straight up, and then you can just execute your game plan. And here's the thing about Joker that I think a lot of people are realizing: Joker dictates what happens every single possession. So no matter what you show him, he's going to give you back what he wants you to do. And so I think some of this is, if they can close off those passes. Matter of fact, I'm just going to go ahead and say it, bro. I think the Lakers are good enough defensively to get stops playing their base defense. But on the other side, what's more important is that you have to have a better half-court offense over the course of the series than you had in the playoffs so far. Because that's actually the big deal. If your half-court offense is better, because the Lakers aren't going to create a lot of turnovers, but if your half-court offense is good, D'Lo, Reeves pick and roll, Schroeder pick and roll, LeBron pick and roll, but even not the initial pick and roll to go downhill, but are you able to get those cutters? You got shooter space in the corner, which is why Vando has to get off the court in the second half, put Rui Hachimura there, or put Schroeder in and go small ball with 3 guards. Like, I think putting as many mobile players on the court as possible, that way you can hit the rotation, open 3 to somebody you want to get the ball to,
Right, and one more point about that. The only reason also that they wouldn't want to do that, just obviously, again, like I think Jokic would score. It's just they don't want AD that far from the paint every time as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
So every time that if AD is on Jokic, they're gonna bring him up to set the ball screen. This is what the Warriors did as well, and it put
Right.
us in a lot of trouble because that just leaves LeBron or Vanderbilt at the rim. That's not a lot of rim protection there, and also with the rebounding as well. The Lakers got killed when AD would come up, which is why like they would try to hide him on GP2, right? Or like or on Wiggins, who isn't as much of a dynamic roller as like Draymond is. So they would they would have Draymond come to the screen, have LeBron on Draymond, so like AD can at least still maneuver around and protect the paint. And I think that's their preferred output that they would try to do, just to at least start the game. And maybe that's not, that doesn't work, like that's not sustainable, but I think that's their preferred way of playing, and I think that's how they're going to start. And they did that through the last two
Mm-hmm.
series. They had 80 on Xavier Tillman, right? So you didn't want 80 on Jaren Jackson Jr. the whole time. You have 80 on Xavier Tillman, so he can maneuver around and protect the paint. And then obviously against the Warriors, you had GP2, Andrew Wiggins, Jermichael Green, etc. That's who they had 80 kind of sitting on, so he can do what he's best at, which is blowing up coverages, his IQ, being able to read screens and stuff like that. You have him on Jokic. He's a part of every action at the top of the key, and that forces him to switch on Jamal Murray. Then you have Jokic down low with no help. So I think that's where they start with this.
Do you it's okay if I ask a question, Dom? I'm sorry. Raj, for you, do you feel like, because it sounds like, do you feel like the Lakers are having to make like a lot of initial adjustments to get ready for the series?
I don't know if it's a lot. I mean, this is the conference final, so you're going to have to make adjustments as it goes. I do think, though, that's how they've tried to play, though. They've tried to keep AD away from the primary post offensive scorer, and Jokic is in another tier than the guys they've played for sure. They just try to keep him out where he can be the help guy, so that, when D'Lo gets beat, when Austin Reeves gets beat, right? Like, you have help there.
Right.
And I think that's a lot also to ask LeBron to be the help guy at 38. Like, that's just not what he really wants to do. So I don't think that's like a crazy adjustment. And again, as the game flows, you have, cross matches, you have stuff. AD is going to guard Nikola Jokic. I'm not saying that he's going to run away from him, right? Like, I think those two are going to be part of the action. They're the two big men. They're going to guard each other. I just think that the preference that the Lakers would want primarily is put him on Aaron Gordon and see how it works. But yeah, I think that's the adjustment. Not adjustment. I think this is how they start the series.
Raj, you talked about guarding the pick and rolls 2-on-2 as best you can without overhelping. How much of that is, the actual guy at the point of attack, like your guard staying in front so AD doesn't have to totally leave Jokic? Because as I said earlier, like once Jokic gets the ball in the 4-on-3s, then you're screwed.
Yeah.
What do you think about like Dennis Schroeder, for example? I think if you talk about the 2020 team, you guys had these pesky like guards like Caruso, KCP, even Danny Green, who was no slouch defensively. Now it's really like AD really anchors the defense, as you said, and you have some bigger wings like LeBron, Vanderbilt. But Dennis Schroeder has kind of been that irritant. Like he did a much better job on Curry than Vando. How much do you think he can bother Jamal Murray? Because the thing about Jamal Murray is, man, in these playoffs, he takes his game to another level, and he's been really great so far. If he gets going, then you're in real trouble.
Yeah, that's the conundrum that you're in. Like, Jamal Murray is tough. He's crafty as hell. He has every little mid-range shot. You think you're right there, and he still drills pull-ups over you when you think it's contested. And I think they're gonna try a bunch of guards on him. Vanderbilt might get a possession on him, and we threw Vanderbilt on like John Morant, on Steph last series, and I think he's gonna get a take at Jamal Murray as well. And I think that's how they'll start it. The Vando AD defensive pairing, we don't really think of pairings in terms of defensive guys, but I think like them two as a pairing have been really good. They read each other pretty well. AD has a really good sense of like, if the guy got beat, if he's not chasing correctly, AD will be higher up. If he did chase correctly, AD will step back a little bit and understand that he's giving enough back pressure. So those two, I think, read it pretty well. But again, Jamal Murray, another guy, you can't just give a steady diet of anything. Those two, again, the pick and roll combination, they've seen every single coverage. They know how to work it. He has every pass to Jokic. Jokic has every pass to Murray. But I think putting size on him is extremely important. I think he'll cook. Dennis Schroeder, he's a really good defender. He'll chase around, but Jamal Murray, I think, can just get shots over him. Austin Reeves as well. I think they're going to try to hide him on somewhere, try to put him on somewhere else. D'Lo, will see who he guards, but I think Vando is probably the guy that they put on him to start and see where that goes. But I think them two are fine as a coverage. It's everything else working around that the Nuggets make you defend. A bunch of motion, a bunch of screen out, a bunch of cross screens. That's stuff that worries me. The switches on those, Aaron Gordon getting dunks, MPJ cutting to the basket. That's the stuff you gotta hold off, because I think Murray and Jokic are gonna get their baskets regardless.
Yeah, that's the one thing I love watching about the Nuggets, man. They're one of those teams that really move without the ball, And I love that. I love that because so many teams can be very stagnant and just heavy pick and roll, but they give you so much with like Jokic in the high post and all the things you mentioned. But yeah, it sounds like you think it's going to be a little bit more of a Vando series. And I actually agree with your point. Like Jamal Murray is good at just shooting over the top of these smaller guards. And he can even post up smaller guards too, which is why I like him a lot. But
I hope it's a Vando series. I would love that because
he can't shoot the ball.
Yeah, the Nuggets would love that. I think too. Then I think Rui's going to have to play some minutes here because what I'll say is that the Suns tried that. They tried to play Josh Okogie for defense, but the Nuggets were literally on the other side playing 4 and 5, and then eventually they were like, "Well, they're scoring anyway. We just need to score."
Yeah.
And so I think that at some point that's when they put Landry Shamet in the starting lineup for that, and then so I think Rui or Schroeder by game 3, I would say maybe might be in the starting lineup, but I think that actually is better because the more you make them work on the other end, then the more you can like Steve, you can get like a lot of open possessions, or you can try to tire them out as well.
Let me ask you this, Swipa. Oh, you had any response there?
Oh, I was gonna say I think it's gonna be a quick hook for sure. I think Rui and Vando, Darvin Ham doesn't like to play them together, so he won't play He won't play Vando and Rui together. So he's like, I've been really surprised at Darvin Ham. He's got a lot of criticism this year. He's coached a hell of a playoff series before, and he has a really good sense of who to play on either of those guys. And yeah, Rui's gonna have to hit jump shots. Vando takes corner threes. I hate every single one that he takes, but like they're just like that's low energy offense for the Lakers, right? LeBron doesn't have to do anything. AD doesn't have to do anything. That Vando open 3 is going to be there every time, and he takes a few. And look, I don't like that. I think that's bad process, but it's like low energy. They don't have to do too much to get that open. So I understand it. I think Rui and Vando are good complements to the stars in different ways, and I think Darvin Ham will find a way to do it. But you're right. They're going to play off him just like Aaron Gordon or Dennis Schroeder as well. Going to get wide open shots.
Let's ask some questions for the Denver side defensively. You guys that's been the biggest knock on the Nuggets all season is that people don't trust your defense. Now, I've been saying since the beginning of the season that the numbers early in the year, like the defensive rating, didn't match up with my eye test. I thought they were always a better defensive team than advertised. As a Clipper fan, I really know the best of the Nuggets because they give us the business. But these playoffs, they've shown a propensity to be a solid defensive team. But playing against a guy like LeBron James, who is like a pick and roll god, and then you have D'Lo and Reeves, who've been really solid in pick and roll. What do you think about your defense and how it can hold up against this level of competition? And then also Jokic in the pick and roll. I want you to, talk about this because everybody talks about that with Jokic. Can he defend well enough in the pick and roll so that, he can get over the hump and lead the team to a championship now that he has the help alongside him?
Yeah, I mean, Anthony Davis is the greatest as a vertical spacer. I think that's probably going to be the most challenging thing. That's what Rudy Gobert does really well. Or even Anthony Davis, that dump off, that 3 to 10 foot area where he's shooting 54.5% through the playoffs so far. So, yeah, for sure. The Nuggets have had an elite defense in the playoffs. I mean, they hounded the Suns. They hounded the Wolves. Obviously, the Suns had 2 colossal games from Kevin Durant and Devin Booker in 3 and 4. But without that, they didn't really have a lot going. But the Nuggets are really tight on rotation. They play on a string. So a lot of this is just going to be like you got D'Lo, Reeves, and then you have Schroeder and LeBron as pick and roll ball handlers. And so if the initial action doesn't work, all right, kick it out to the other one. See if you can get reset with another pick and roll opportunity with Joker or whoever else it is. And then you got to do the same thing, but on the other side of the court. And so a lot of this is just going to be being disciplined. The good thing about LeBron, well, not for you, but the thing about LeBron now that he's 38, he doesn't have the ability to turn a corner like he used to or be as explosive. So not consistently. So that's the thing that's different. Like 2020, you try to play up at LeBron, like, LeBron is just, he's getting by with power, he's getting by with speed or whatever else it might be. So a lot of this is going to be containing the ball handlers at the level more than likely, and then playing really good defense into backside rotations. And so that way, AD is going to run into maybe Murray at the backside corner or maybe Michael Porter Jr. at the backside corner, and then they're going to kind of play it that way. And they're going to try to allow AD not to get set too deeply. And again, that's when you're going to have that Vando equation because LeBron or Rui or Schroeder or D'Lo, they're going to see the open corner open because the Nuggets are going to show them that corner, but then they're going to X out from the wing down and then back up top, back up to the wing. So they just got to be really tight on these rotations. And then when they do try to do a show and go and get to the rim, have to have really good body position as well. Jokic has to use his size well. Again, he's not a shot blocker, but he's a big body that can move and is really handsy. So, and he's not going to let AD just muscle him because he's not, AD's not as big as him. But AD's able to get to a spot and shoot over him because he's he's an alien. So, you just want to try to contain AD, not getting too deep. And then also on the other side of this, not allowing a lot of penetration. And if you do allow penetration with the LA Lakers, you want to stop them at the mid-range area. That way they take a contested 2, because you don't want them just having a layup line. So Jokic has been really good in the pick and roll in the playoffs, y'all. Like, he's been excellent. Like, and again, that's mostly because of KCP, Christian Brown, Bruce Brown, and Aaron Gordon, and the backside help that they have. So they have to do really, really, really well at those things, because you have LeBron, Ramon, James on the other side of the court, and I always have a healthy fear of him in any playoff setting.
Yeah, Jokic is, against the Kawhi Clippers, like in the bubble, he does a really good job hedging the screens and coming out. And usually when it's on the sideline, you guys do a good job of pressuring that ball handler. And then MPJ or Aaron Gordon, in the bubble was Jeremy Grant, did a really good job taking that first pass away in rotation, or at least when it's there. When the pass got there, they were right there ready to rotate and at least not get him an easy layup or a floater. But yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see that defensively. I'm interested to see how LeBron tries to target certain guys. How about Murray defensively? He's been decent in the playoffs so far. Do you have any fear that he could be targeted?
I mean, they're gonna try to switch on him. Murray is 6'4". LeBron's gonna target him, but at the end of the day, bro, you kind of so the Nuggets are tendency trappers. So like, what do I mean by that? They don't trap initially. What they do is they trap based on your dribble. So Kevin Durant has this thing where he wants to get it like a motion. He wants to like face up with you here. He wants to dribble to a spot and pull up. So with LeBron, they're going to be aware of, okay, if LeBron trying to get to the cup here, if you try to go baseline and spin back inside off that left shoulder, trap comes as the spin comes and try to get the ball out of his hand type deal, or AG or something like that. So, yeah, I mean, they're going to look for Jamal, but that's just because Jamal is the weakest link on the defensively for them, because Michael Porter Jr. is, not a lot of people are aware, but like he's been pretty good, like, mostly help side. But, when you have a 6'10" athlete, it's kind of hard to score on them consistently. So I think they're definitely going to look for Jamal, but in clutch situations, I do think they're not going to give up the switch as easily as they were giving it up with Steph Curry and the Warriors. That was just dumb. So yeah, I do think that Jamal definitely is going to have his big boy pants on.
That was gonna be my question to you. How much will the Nuggets switch? I think the Lakers guards, at least from what Phoenix was doing, they had like Landry Shamet, right, screening, and those guys just can't. Shamet and Okogie or whoever just cannot create off the dribble. Look, the Lakers have been getting pretty good looks where like D'Lo and Austin are the screener, and once they're in that like 4-on-3 action, because like once you hedge and they have a little bit of an advantage, those dudes can shoot off the dribble, then get to the rack. But I think to me this is LeBron and AD pick and roll has been kind of thrown everywhere. The Lakers don't run it as much as people think because most teams can switch it. But the Nuggets, I think, are one team that don't want to switch that. So the LeBron and AD empty side pick and roll, that's really hurt the Nuggets. I think even in 2020, that's something the Lakers went to a ton. How would the Nuggets, I guess, cover that this series? Because I don't think they want to switch Jokic onto LeBron. LeBron, even with the age and stuff like that, he can attack him in space. Even in the regular season, I thought he did a good job of that. But I guess like how much would they switch those actions, or they're kind of just trying to hedge and get help on the backside on those?
Yeah, I mean at this point. Just play off. If you switch, just stand 6 feet back and see if LeBron can get his 26% 3-point shooting percentage up. If Jokic gets switched on that action, because at that point, don't let him get to the rim, because that's a way easier shot for him. But yeah, I mean, they're really going to have to play that well if they do see that again, which they will. And a lot of that's just going to be getting over the top, but a lot of that's going to be a rotation, because when they're in that empty side at that point, if it's AG on Braun, they're probably going to bring MPJ or Bruce Brown or whoever else it is on the other side into the middle of the paint. That way, if they do trap, then AD at least sees a body, and then they're going to make AD throw the ball to the baseline or throw the ball to the wing. And at that point, everything's a scramble. But the easiest shot the Lakers could get is either Braun to the rim or AD on the roll, and they're just going to not going to concede that roll. Right.
LeBron going middle. Mm-hmm.
Right. But they're going to get it every so often. Jokic is still, like slow-footed, so they're still going to find that option. It's just not allowing it a lot. I mean, Booker even beat him around the corner a couple of times, but most times, like, I say 85% of the time, 90% of the time, they were able to contain it with a good hedge.
Yeah, and I think, as you said, whenever I see Michael Porter Jr. like locked in on those rotations, like quick on them, it makes a huge difference for your defense. Like, it just looks sharp, and you look like you have a lot of length out there between him and Aaron Gordon. I also wanted to ask you said Aaron Gordon on LeBron. I think that's like you couldn't throw a better body at him right now than that. But then Anthony Davis, he's been a little bit more aggressive this postseason, one-on-one. So are you throwing Jokic on an AD? Because that's one thing when the Lakers don't just go to AD as a pick and roll, like just roller, and they actually throw him the ball. That's when I like when he gets aggressive, and then puts other teams in foul trouble. So do you think Jokic is going to be put on him?
Yeah, and Jokic will not foul. So if AD gets close enough to the basket, he's going to get a dunk or a layup. So a lot of that, because Jokic knows that he probably has the most valuable foul in the NBA. Like, he's not going to foul him. So I think a lot of this is Jokic just going to be trying to get AD to either hit a tough contested mid-range two, or again, the Nuggets are going to be showing in the first place. So as soon as AD goes into action, they'll probably try to collapse on him and see if they can get the ball out of his hands. I mean, more than likely, those are going to be your two options, I would think, with Jokic guarding him.
Yeah, that was going to ask about that too, because I think, AD does it, like when he holds it, that's when he gets in trouble. But he's done a good job these playoffs, going really quick with it. And the Lakers run some really nice actions where if Jokic is on AD, they run this pin down for AD on the corner, and that gets like a lot of big stuck. It got Kevon Looney had a really tough time guarding that as well, and that's where he can get downhill. And part of the Lakers game plan, and obviously the referees was, attacked a lot in the Warriors series. It was, Steve Kerr talking about it, but the Lakers game plan is to get to the line. Like that's that's baked into what they do. I know you said Jokic doesn't foul, but AD does a really nice job of getting body contact and getting to the line. Him and, he lives at the line where the Lakers are humming. LeBron hasn't got there as much, but Austin Reeves as well does a good job getting contact, and that's part of what they do. So I think that's a big part of the series as well. Who is in foul trouble, I guess. Like if AD has 2 fouls, the Lakers will be in trouble, and stuff like that. So, I think, AD scoring on Jokic, if they leave him single coverage, I think is important as well.
Yeah, the one I think I like how you mentioned the actions that you guys have been running for AD this year. When you get him on the move and even in the half court, it's been a lot easier for him. And now he's taking less threes too, and I think it's just so much better for his game. But as we close out, let me ask you guys this: who's like an X factor for your team where you think if this guy plays well, it just increases your chances of winning so much, and you're going to need him to play well in this series? And it can't be your duo. Who would you go with? Swipa first.
Relative to his value, probably Aaron Gordon. Michael Porter Jr. is a given, but if AG is able to do what he did to Kevin Durant when he held him 36% from the field on like 80 attempts, I think Kevin Durant's better than LeBron at this point in time in his career. It's just that LeBron is offered different options to Kevin Durant. KD averaged 31, 11, and 5, but he was mad inefficient.
Yeah.
So if you can hold LeBron to being inefficient, then, that's a win. So I think he's probably going to be the most important because he's going to be your biggest defensive chess piece. But if he's able to hit his shots as he's done in the playoff and hit his free throws, which has been huge, then I think that's probably going to be one of the big differences right there.
Yeah, one thing too is AD's mid-range in the playoffs has been pretty good. I feel like it's a lot of it's dictated in terms of if he's got his mid-range.
Please don't shoot mid-range shots to Aaron Gordon, please.
What about you, Raj, about your X factor? I mean, I feel like it's D'Angelo Russell, but I don't know. You might have a different one.
Well, yeah. So AD is actually at 51% on mid range. It's really low, volume so far. So he doesn't take too many. But I do think it opens up when he has like the pick and pop. It opens up like the volume for him. But yeah, for me, it's D'Lo. It's weird saying this, but like I know what I'm getting out of Austin Reeves. Like I feel like Austin Reeves, LeBron, and AD. I kind of know what I'm getting out of those three. Dennis Schroeder's gonna come in and play hard. But to me, it's D'Angelo Russell. When he scores over like 17 points, I think we've won a ton of games in the playoffs. And his ability to hit shots, he scores in waves as well. Like he doesn't have like a game, like a consistent game. He'll have like a quarter where he scores 12 and then he just won't do anything for a long time. I think he has to make Jamal Murray work if he's on him. And then he has to like score off of pick and rolls and just be a threat so that it keeps the integrity of, our offense when he's going and he's aggressive, and LeBron doesn't have to create every time. So to me, it's D'Angelo Russell. If he can have a good series, I think the Lakers have a good shot. He doesn't have to score 30 every game, but like a 17, 18 for him, it really helps our margins and our floor when he's going. And he's going to get shots to me. I think the Nuggets are going to try to take away the paint, and I think you're going to get baskets for him, for Austin Reeves. So yeah, D'Lo has to have a big game. It's funny you said Aaron Gordon because I'm terrified of MPJ actually, as a shooter. I remember in 2020, like there was nothing, like he would hit like contested threes that like I felt like we had a hand in his face and he'd still drill those. And then obviously the ability to get to the basket as well. He's the guy for me on Denver that I worry about. But yeah, for the Lakers, I think D'Angelo Russell.
There's something about the timeliness of some of MPJ's threes that are so backbreaking. Oh my God, I hate it. But yeah, that's who I would probably choose if I was a Laker fan that I'd be a little scared of and try to hopefully prevent from going off as MPJ. As we close out, Swipe, I want to ask you a question. So there are a lot of stands on Twitter. You're an actual fan. But of all the actual local fans of their teams I follow, I don't know if one person seems to like their superstar player the way you do. I want to ask you about Jokic, what he means to the Denver community. He's now really the best Nugget of all time, with all due respect to Skywalker, Dan Issel, Dikembe Mutombo, Alex English, Melo, and all of them. But it really seems like Jokic, he has a chance to do something really special. This is the first time where I think it would kind of be a disappointment if the Nuggets really didn't win the championship. You've never been the first seed. I really think I've been saying since December that the Nuggets are going to the finals. They got to go to the finals. Jokic has his help back. Just talk to me about Jokic and what he means and just his legend and everything like that.
Yeah, I think the difference is Raj has had Magic, Kareem, then go back even further than that, obviously Elgin Baylor, Jerry West. Then he had Kobe Bryant, Shaquille O'Neal, and then he's had LeBron James and Anthony Davis. He has 10. I think the Lakers might have 10 players in the NBA top 75. The Nuggets have 0, and the person that has the best case is Joker. The Nuggets have never had an MVP. They've never had a player be first-team All-NBA this many times or make All-NBA this many times. So there's
English got snubbed, by the way. I personally think anybody
did.
that leads a decade in points should be on there, but continue.
Well, that just goes to show you how the NBA has told the Nuggets story. So I think this is what I mean. This is the first time the NBA has had to reconcile with the fact that on any given night, in any given series, the Nuggets have the best player. And so I think that's probably why. I think it's just he's from Sombor, Serbia, 41st overall pick. He was just goofy kid that was funny, that was extremely skilled. And all of a sudden, he's turned into like this savant that is probably going to end his career with Jordan, Magic, Steph, and maybe him and Nash or Bird. And LeBron as the greatest offensive players of all time. And it's out of nowhere. Like it came out of you saw it, but it came out of nowhere. And then, as George Karl said, if he wins championships and keeps winning MVP, he could be a top 10, 15 player of all time. So that's just not something the Nuggets have ever had. So the Lakers fans, they can stand, fans at least can talk about, oh, we got LeBron, we got AD, we got Kobe, we got Magic, we got Kareem, we got all these players. They're spoiled. They've had the collection of talent, right? So I think that's probably the biggest difference. Even you had Corey Maggette, Don.
Was that a joke? I hope that was a joke. I love Corey Maggette. But Raj, let me ask you to close out. Give me your series prediction, and how much this means that really, to start 2-10, and now you're this close to the finals. I mean, beating the Denver Nuggets, that's par for the course in some previous Laker championships.
Exactly. It was funny. I was somebody posted Carmelo Anthony's numbers from that 2009 series, and like as a fan, you don't remember it because I remember him killing us, and then like the shooting numbers were nowhere near what I thought they were. I was like, man, he was bullying us.
Those first 2 games, man, they stuck in our brains so much. That's what it was.
Chauncey Billups, man, I hated that. Ryan Anderson off the bench, like that was a hell series for me as well.
Chris
Kobe had to go there. Chris Anderson, Chris Anderson getting blocked and stuff like that, and Kobe having to go win a game 6, over there. But I think this is gonna be a tough series. I have, I go back and forth between like just being grateful to be here. Like I watched hell for the last 2 years. Russell Westbrook. You don't have to get into like what happened. I'm happy for you, Dime, that he's balling for y'all team. Well, he did ball for your guys' team, but I had a completely different experience with Russell Westbrook in terms of like the basketball fit. And just to like go start from 2-10, be the 13th seed at the end of February, and like to make it to here is crazy. I have Lakers in 6. I think, but I think Denver can easily win this as well. I just like that's where I would put this at. I think the Warriors were a nice test for us in terms of like guarding a ton of actions, having to be locked in for 24 seconds every single defensive possession. I think this team again is building and trying to figure itself out. And I think LeBron smells not the finish line, but he smells like the blood enough of a title that I just can't see him, going out sad, if that's a way to put it. So
why would he go out sad?
Well, just the way it's been talked, I feel like people think he won't show up, and I think he's gonna have a good series. I think this is more of a series where he can kind of pick his matchups in a way where he couldn't before. So we'll see. I think AD's been so good defensively as well, and if he can at least like neutralize enough Jokic, I think gives us a shot. But I'm gonna stick with Lakers in 6, but I'm super high on this Denver team as well. I think it's gonna be a bloodbath of a series, and the Lakers need to steal one of these first 2 to have a chance. I was
going to say that, man. It's such a tough place to play, Denver, historically, but especially this year with their team. Lakers have done a great job of getting that first game in both series. and then taking care of home court. Still, both teams are still undefeated at home.
Yeah.
It could end in this series, but maybe not. Maybe it's the Nuggets in 7 and every team wins at home. So I got the Nuggets in 7. I just have to stick with my guns that the Nuggets are going to go to the finals. I've been saying it since December, so I'm going to stick with it. Swipa, man, you tell me. This is an amazing opportunity here. I talked about with you in the DMs, but this feels like it's like in the stars, man. Like you guys finally to get to a championship, and you got to beat the boogeyman team that's always gotten in your way. I mean, how would this feel to get all the way? And let me know how much you trust Jamal Murray to be that second option, because I know it's going to be a big series for him.
Yeah, I mean, Jamal Murray always shows up. I think that's the thing. I've never complained about him. He'll struggle consistency and game-by-game basis from time to time, but, he's been fairly good in the clutch. Yeah, I mean, it's just as a part of the process. I think that, when you're ascending as a player and as a team, you have to take down kind of the old guard or the people that are a part of your counterparts. In the first round, you remember Karl Anthony Towns was considered better than Joker in 2017-18. Rudy Gobert as well, so took them down. And then Kevin Durant, the legacy, there's no way that Jokic is beating Kevin Durant in a playoff series, averages 34.5, 12.8, 10 on 50, 44, 83 splits. And then now you're getting a chance to play against LeBron James and Anthony Davis. And once again, it can't be done. There's no way Jokic, of all people, should be able to take down two legacy players in a legacy franchise like that. But again, that's all narratives. On the basketball court, the Nuggets have been the most impressive team in the playoffs, and they do have the best player. They have the most cohesive team, but they've also reached the highest ceiling. But now it's just about execution, and it's LeBron James' experience plus the execution that you have to counteract. But I do think the Nuggets win this series. But again, traditionally, the best team with the best player typically wins, and that's why I have the Nuggets in 6. But I do think that LeBron James, I don't think he's going to go out sad. I think it's just a matter of if sometimes the better team and the better players on the other side of the court, it's just there's really nothing you can do about it. I don't think Devin Booker went out sad. All right, sure. Down 30 in game 6, I'm sure, but he averaged 30 points a game. KD averaged 30 points a game. Just sometimes the other team is just better. So that's my prediction. But we'll have to see what happens from there.
First time
winner should be able to get KCP. I want KCP back. Winner should be able to keep right. KCP.
Yeah, big series. Shout out to KCP. Big series for him. I've also been very impressed with Bruce Brown and Christian Brown, scrappy guards off the bench, and have been really good in transition. But yeah, this is gonna be so fun. Nuggets finally are the higher seed for the first time, so big time for them. That's what you get for taking the regular season super seriously. Raj, let people know where they can find you, man. Thanks so much for coming on. This was great.
Yeah, man, this was really fun. On Twitter at Raj Chapalu. We do the playbacks as well, all access Lakers every game. And then for Blue Wire, we do the Lakers Lounge as well, post game shows. But yeah, this was a lot of fun, man. I think it's gonna be a really fun, exciting back and forth series. A lot of tacticians here, being able to go back and forth with the coaches. So I think this is gonna be fun.
Yes, sir. Swipe it. Let them know where they can find you, even though a lot of people are here for you. And also, I wanted to ask a random question. Every single time I do a Nuggets episode on Locked On Clippers, I get all these Serbians in my comments. How much of your following are Serbians?
Probably 50%, as they should be. Shout out to Belgrade. Yeah, for real. Probably 50%. Yeah, you can follow me at SwipaCam on Twitter, on Instagram, and on TikTok. And then obviously my YouTube channel is SwipaCam as well. You can also follow, which is also streaming on Mile High Sports. Make sure you subscribe and you follow Mile High Sports with all the great content we're putting out together. So, yeah, can't wait. It's going to be a great, great Tuesday tomorrow.
Make sure you subscribe to my channel as well, Dime Dropper, for all things LA sports, LA basketball, and NBA history and NBA. I go live every single night of the playoffs post game. Shout out to Serbia, Branislav Ivanovic, greatest Chelsea right back of all time. Peace, everybody. I'll see you tomorrow night after the game. I don't want to say go Nuggets or go Lakers. I'm just going to say I hope for a great series. Peace.